How did you decide to meet with Queen Elizabeth II a week ago?
Well,
Do you want to grab that mic?
I thought it was the perfect opportunity to extend the hand of friendship, peace, and reconciliation to the entire Unionist community in the North, the pro-British community, and to do so through someone who they obviously had a great love for and a great affinity with. And I think it was an important act of reconciliation. I understand that Queen Elizabeth and her family have suffered as a result of the conflict. My own city has suffered as a result of the activities of the British Army. And I think in the sort of peace process that we're involved in, and it is one of the most, if not the most, successful peace process in the world today, it's very important that people show leadership and step forward to give an example to others as to how we need to move forward. And this came at a particularly important time for my party, because we have been trying to develop over the course of the last number of months through our party chairperson, Declan Kearney, and myself and others, a debate around the need for reconciliation on the basis that, for example, there was a civil war in the south of Ireland in the early 1920s when Ireland was partitioned. But there never, after that civil war, was any attempt made to bring about reconciliation between the opposing forces. So civil war politics prevailed for decades after partition. And the two parties, the two main parties in the south, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil, were both sides of that argument. Well, we don't want to make the same mistake. We think it's hugely important after what has been a very difficult period in our history, where there was 25 years of conflict in the north, but thankfully, as a result of the Good Friday Agreement and the St Andrews Agreement and the Hillsborough Agreement, agreements that we've all been involved in negotiating, we've finally brought conflict on the island of Ireland after 800 years to an end, and we have put in place an agreement that has the overwhelming support of all of the people of Ireland. And I think that in that context, it's very important that we continue to reach out to each other and to recognise that we've all hurt each other terribly in the past, but we can't let the past weigh us down like an anchor. What we have to do is not forget the past or the lessons of the past, but remember that we as politicians have a duty and a responsibility to work on the here and now and to build a better future for the most important people. And the most important people are our children and our grandchildren.
Right, brilliant. Martin, a week ago when you met Queen Elizabeth II, it was a top story in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, your picture across the media around the world, top story. Could you share with us what wasn't described in the news of what Queen Elizabeth said to you, besides what the newspapers and other media outlets reported?
Well, I won't say what she said to me, because that would not be appropriate. It's a matter for people that I have conversations with to outline what they said, but I will tell you what I said. And during the course of the engagement, which lasted for about 10 minutes, and the only people in the room were myself and Peter Robinson, the First Minister, the President of Ireland, Michael D. Higgins, and his wife, Sabina, and of course, Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. But I took the opportunity to tell her that I was hugely impressed by the speech that she made in Dublin Castle last year, when she acknowledged the suffering of all who had suffered as a result of the conflict. And I thought the use of the word all was particularly important, because in using the word all, she was reaching out to Irish nationalists and Republicans who had suffered at the hands of the British Army and British state forces. And she also went on to talk about with the benefit of historical hindsight, that we all need to recognise that there are things that should not have happened and wished had not have happened. And I took that as a very clear reference to what happened on Bloody Sunday, as well as, of course, all of the other situations. The fact that she stood in the Garden of Remembrance to honour all those who gave their lives for Irish freedom, the fact that she used symbolically the Irish language, all of these things represented to me someone who was also interested in reconciliation. And of course, there was a lot of discussion before the meeting took place. You know, people were talking about, well, why should Martin McGuinness meet with Queen Elizabeth? But other people were saying, well, why should Queen Elizabeth meet with Martin McGuinness? As if there was a certain constituency there who felt that it was wrong to meet. And it was my view that it was the right thing to do. It was a civilised thing to do. And I hope that it feeds into the very important discussions that have to take place, and which we all have to be involved in, about how we can move forward sensibly to ensure that there is reconciliation in the north and between north and south. I mean, I come from a constituency that believes that the north has been very introverted, has shut itself off since partition, has only been interested in what went on within the 6 northern counties, and really didn't feel an affinity with the rest of Ireland, or indeed even with the rest of the world for that matter. And it's my view that that has to change. We have to recognise that there are huge economic benefits by working together in an all-Ireland way without infringing the allegiances of any section of our community. And I'll give you a couple of examples. In recent times, we've decided to build a multi-million-pound radiotherapy unit at Altony Hospital in Derry City, where I come from, which will be used for the treatment of patients from over the border in County Donegal, County Sligo, County Tyrone and County Derry. Sensible thing to do. The new South West Hospital just opened, the most modern hospital in the whole of Western Europe, in Fermanagh, 2 weeks ago. Also be used to treat patients from County Cavan and County Monaghan in the south. Yesterday, the planning authorities gave permission for the new road from County Monaghan in the south right through to my city in County Derry, the largest road project in the island of Ireland ever, stretching right through to Letterkenny and County Donegal in the south. And of course, the business community, north and south, have been working together for many, many years. So what we have to do is seek out these examples of how we can improve the lives of our people without infringing people's allegiances. And I say that as someone who is an Irish Democrat and an Irish Republican, and who passionately believes that the reunification of Ireland eventually, by purely peaceful and democratic means, is the way to go.